You guys know what you really need to do with yourself. You're such a big shot and you believe your character is so damn popular and so damn cool with your friends. Believe me, I didn't think I could do it, but you know what? It was a what the hey moment. Someday down the road, you should make and get your own. Find my video in my channel, and it'll tell you you can make your own. Isn't he gorgeous? All right, on with the video. Yes, we welcome you back. Sometimes I like to flip things around. That little decoration up there, I like to flip that thing around once in a while. But then again, when I have a small place, it's real hard to put things around. I don't really have a whole lot of space to move my little section around, but I am in the process of possibly getting a new computer down the road, so we'll worry about that down the road. Incidentally, it is great to have you with us. You know what? If you were out clubbing last night, I don't know, because I'll tell you what, for 48 years old, I'm sore as an MF, because I like to do different stuff on and off at my age. But as I've said many times on the channel, it's very hard when you get older to find things to do. Sometimes you have to go through friends, from places to places, just to become relevant. There are many people who had their great lives. Doesn't matter if they were very high in themselves, whether it was high school, whether it was college, whether it was in their work world. If you have been in a way of shape or form somewhere of a very, very high character in your life, you're pretty much a relevant human being to many others, because others that know your character filter that through other people. And then that's how you pretty much become somewhat of a very high relevant person. And that's how a lot of people get relevant when it comes to the social media world. How do you think 13, 14-year-olds become humanly popular? Just because of one stupid thing. Stupid things, funny things, idiotic things. And we don't really like them for three reasons. One, maybe they're annoying. Two, they're trying to get attention. And three, and most importantly, they're going to make bank out of it. Here's the biggest one. Bad Baby. Cash Me Outside. How about that? When was that? 2000 what? I'm going to have to search that. I'm going to have to search that. The Dr. Phil show. Remember that? Remember that episode? You know what she's doing now? After she tried to do rapping for a while? Took that Twitter check for $1 million, and she blabbed about right on Twitter with a picture with her mother saying, "I'm a millionaire at 14. What have you done?" Now she's making more money on OnlyFans and thinks she's better than you. Now, really, you don't want that type of character. And trust me, as a good old humble guy myself, I sometimes I don't like to be violent, but people like that should get a pie in the face. Coconut custard pie with whipped cream. Bugs Bunny style. Because we're trying to have fun here on a channel that I just started, and I've got other people helping me on this journey. And trust me, there's a lot of people that see people like that become immediately boom, just by doing something stupid. But this day and age, like there's a kid who's jumping off freaking tables into barbed wires and Legos and he's a big juggalo, and he just recently did a video where he was literally getting himself hit with a weed whacker. Wonder how much his bank account is. Nobody knows. But character is such a huge thing in the world. I know that because when I wanted to do this channel, character is such a big thing. If I'm behind a mic, most importantly, got to do my homework. But at the same time, sometimes I just go with the flow, and I just think the first things that comes to my mind. But I talked one time about with a couple of my friends about psych, with about your inner self. Not necessarily about a Gen Z millennial thing or anything like that, but it's how you're represented as a human being. Um, Take for example when you're going clubbing, when you're out with your friends, people know who you are because you stand out. Break dancers, b-boys, ravers, they stand out. And it's not necessarily to a point where you are wanted attention. You're there for, I've known it for so many years of my time, even in old days of school dances. You go to have fun. There's I don't know if they even have school dances anymore. Can somebody look that up? Like, it's 2023, we're going to 2024. Do they still have them? Do they still have them? Hit me up. Let me know. Please let me know. Because just Gen Z people do that stuff anymore? Because quite honestly, I don't want to sit here and talk a whole heck of a lot about character, but our times going out, going to a club, and wanting to dance and be a goofball was your night of entertainment. But I know many people, especially many people in my graduating class, that was dancing like a goofball, and they were the icons. And I did it, and I practiced, not being a goofball because I already am, but I practiced for so many years, and 91, 92, 93, all those years, and 90, and he was 1990 I started. But you go to have fun. You meet up with your friends, you hide in the corner, and you have fun. If a song came on, you wanted to bust some stuff out, or just stand in the middle and just start rapping and singing Green Day, and then rapping to a song, rapping from Snoop Dogg or Dr. Dre. Who gives a rip? You went there to have fun. But if there was people that knew from people to person to person, if they found out that somebody knew how to break and someone knew how to actually dance 1990s style, they would call them out. And I know a certain individual that made me do that. He was like, let's do a dance contest. And let's just be clear about it. I got called out. I was looking around for the other people. It was a setup. I was the only one running. I was the only one dancing to freaking CNC Music Factory. And it was a setup. He wasn't like that. He wanted me to embarrass the hell out of myself. And I didn't give a damn. It's over 20 some years ago. Do I really give a rip now? Because there's so many times I've embarrassed myself on the floor. Sometimes I couldn't break. Sometimes I couldn't do windmills. There was one time a dude tried to do one of those acrobatic things, something things where you flip somebody over when you're grabbing their arms underneath and you end up flipping and landing on your back. I didn't know how the move worked, and I landed and ended up having a power bomb, and I got a freaking, and I nearly lost my shoulder that night. But and he's still a good guy, by the way. But I miss him, but he's a good guy. But I remember many times there about clubbing and about going to dances. We always talked about going out and have fun, but people knew who people were. It didn't matter. It really didn't even matter what you wore. It didn't really matter if you tried to. People did. In fact, I can remember before I started hanging out at the other school. I remember people, they were leaving the football game, going back to their own places. And if they were pre-gaming, that's fine. Of course, they were pre-gaming their own way. We weren't obviously 21 back then. But they found a way to pre-game, get their best outfit, and go back to the school for whatever homecoming or whatever dance it was. If you heard semi-formal, oh Lord. If you heard formal, come as you are. If you kind of knew what that meant, because it was school back then. And if you were out there busting a groove, that was fine. It was a great thing. And we took that all the way to small clubs where it was 18 and over. You went everywhere that you wanted to go. Bars do that. Clubs do that. There are still clubs that are trying to bring the club season back and the club era back. And it's so hard. It's really difficult. And I just knew that my time, I couldn't do it where I was, because still in my sophomore, junior, senior years, I was still somebody picked on. But as I grew up as being more of a mature human being to a point where I was pretty much, wasn't necessarily me being bulked up or anything like that. Like we all grew, we're starting to become seniors and humans and all that stuff. Where I went, I was accepted, whether it was a couple schools and all that stuff. I was very, very active and just minding my own business and doing the things I like to do, and just didn't want to go out there and just jump out into the floor and do everything like I always used to do. And when I did, that's when I started getting noticed by a couple people from the other school and realizing we just had a lot more in common than we thought. And that point would be one of the most important parts of my entire life, because I knew other people that liked the things that I like to do. And from that point forward, I was pretty much a little bit of an outsider, but I was that little, I would probably say that little associate that, that the other people in the other school would just be like, yeah, I remember Jimmy from the Bigler dance. Yeah, he's coming here. You'd be like, what? He's coming here? He doesn't go to school here. Well, I'll get him in. And a phone call to a phone call, I go to some of their dances. And I'll tell you what, I miss those people. And I said that about my class reunion. I don't know if I'll ever run into those people. I still talk to them on and off on Facebook, here and there, wish them happy birthday and all that stuff. But those people, not necessarily the people that I was breaking with all of my entire career or pieces of my lifetime. The people from the other school, class of 93, they will be the most important people of my life, because they got me through the year and they got me through summertime. And those were my best friends. I will never forget them. And they'll always have a piece of my life. They always have a piece of my heart. They also like to be out on the floor, goofing off, doing different stuff, doing different steps, doing different routines. It was the 90s. We knew how to have fun. And I enjoyed those times. School dances were so hard. I wouldn't say school dances were so hard, because back to then, we always had stuff to figure out. Were we ever going to be something to the point where we're going to enjoy going out to a club or going out to a dance anywhere? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't know. And I still, to this day, I don't really want to do homework as far as this part. This is 2023 going into 24. Do school dances even exist anymore? I don't know. If they do, no one goes. If they do, I don't know how you do it. But we go to clubs to have fun, whether it is to dance, or you want to just release some stress, drop a couple shots and have a beer or two or whatever, as long as you're responsible. We know that. I've had my times. I've had my horrible times. I cried on my 25th birthday, but I was hanging out at Ravers at the time, and they bought me shots, and I was crying in my car. Not because I was toasted. I was 25. But I won't forget those people either. That was Penn State back in the day, man. I mean, I remember those days. And now we remember the circles. We remember the time frames where it was like probably a half hour or 20 minutes, roughly about that ballpark. It was R&B and hip hop stuff for a half hour, 20 minutes. Then it would go to house music and house and club. And if you were guys, you were looking for the hottest chicks during house music, because we were still moving. The crowd was still hot. There are certain crowds that filter in or filter out in whichever like class of music you really enjoyed. And many of the places still try to do that, but clubbing is so different. It's so different from the cities. Cities and small towns, it's apples to oranges. And the breaking scene, clubbing scene, raving scene is so hit and miss. You could sit there and you could literally try your darndest to try to filter house music in a certain area, and no one will dance because nobody knows anything, you know. And we all know Everybody of this era, will know 90s hip hop, 80s hip hop. But then these Gen Z people will talk about how, I've known this song. I've just known this song forever. You're 20. You don't know Rapper's Delight. Sorry, not sorry. Give me all the words. Did you remember it? Oh, well, these guys do. They probably did. Maybe because some of those younger kids did their homework. And by the way, Rapper's Delight, top 5 best rap songs of all time, best rap tracks of all time. But I digress and all that. I still love it. I still love it. I consider myself somewhat retired, but a lot of people still do a lot of rap, hip hop, funk, and all that stuff. We still had fun going on and listening to, Poison, Boys to Men, and all the other knick-knack hip hop stuff. And then we had all the house music that came out. Doesn't matter if it was, and by the way, I still think 90s and 2000s is the best hip hop, the best dance era, period. Although some things from the 10s to today aren't too bad. But being an old school cat that I am, I still will always listen to the old school stuff. We always had those time frames. Guys knew what they were trying to look for, whether they was players or not. And girls always tried to go out and try to get their crew. They always tried to get a crew of 4 or 5 or 6. They weren't going alone. And if they did, they were very, very independent. I know a few. But everybody seems about clubbing and going out to bars and going out to clubs because they want to dance and relieve stress and have fun. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the plan. When you go to a club, it's have fun. And I did. Heck, and I did it majority of my time alone, unless I ran into people. That's how I met a lot of people. Most of them were New York, Philly people. I miss those people to death. I hope they're well. If you ever run into this channel, say hello. Hit a like, hit a subscribe somewhere. We'll say hello. I know a lot of people, and I'm hoping down the road we will do some podcasts, not necessarily about the clubs, but not necessarily about club life. It's the artists and what the best genre is and all over the place and what people listen to and everything like that. Down the road, we're going to do that. But boy, when it comes down to it, I miss that time, but you can only do so much at 48 years old. And when I was coming up and having a little bit of an epiphany about the club life, I mean, it's not like the guys were going out and literally having a game plan. It's like Vietnam. We're going to go to the beach. You take the north end, I'll take the south end. We're going to comb the beach. And you get me on the walkie-talkie. Trust me, there's a pack of guys that are probably doing that now. Not in that sense, but it's kind of funny. Girls get a laugh at that. But it becomes either a fun time or a comedy show or a train wreck. Take your pick. And we'd probably be all right with all of them because they end up being funny stories and when it's all over and done with. Because your after parties were either at house parties or at the freaking Denny's or Eaton Park down the road. So if you ever have some crazy stories like that, by all means, I mean, I'm only throwing this stuff on there because I'm a big Tiesto fan. Some of my favorite stuff is with him. And, there's always stuff in club stuff that we always did. The dancing, the breaking, the hip-hop stuff, rapping with your boys in the circle. I remember those days in the old club around here, and we miss those guys. I hope they're doing well. I hope some of them I know personally have been unfortunately passed on. I miss them. But I will say this video is pretty much to the life of club days. This can go on. This is only like a part 1 because we can tell stories about every other type of thing that's ever happened until hell freezes over. And this is fun. This is a good little startup about the old school clubbing days. Did you do anything about old school dances, about old YMCA dances, about old warehouse dances? And did you try doing these different raves and all this stuff like that? I've gone to one rave in my lifetime, and I had fun, and it was in Philly, and it was a good time. Going to different places. It's not like some of the greatest places in the world, especially Ibiza. Trust me, you got to have almost a Bentley bank account to go to all these places. So What's some type of your stories that you ever have? You're more than welcome. Throw a comment and tell us like some crazy stories that you've ever had, because this is like a good little part one about the old school clubbing days. Were you out there dancing? Were you a wallflower? Were you trying to get your own? Were you trying to meet people? Were you trying to build the entertainment? Because entertaining people, if you were a breaker, a dancer, or just trying to build the circle, sometimes we were out there just to have a good time. Sometimes we were out there to entertain the people. And you didn't even really be, and you wouldn't even really be totally responsible for it. You just wanted to go out there and show and have some fun. That was it. And some trolls still to this day at my age hate that, and will look at you with an evil face. Now it's kind of worse now, because who knows how the world goes with clubs now, because every place is different. What is your story? What do you have that really could just be mind-blowing whenever you and your guys or girls went to a club? Hit that like and subscribe button if you got a good story. Throw that out there, because this is a good start. This is a nice little part one about the club life. And trust me, Gen X, I still believe that is that we have more fun without social media than people do now with it. We always encourage different stuff on there. Forgive me for coughing and all that. And it's been a rough time. I'm just getting through another long weekend. But I'll tell you what, I'm not done. We're going to do another one of this before down the road. But until then, I appreciate you hanging out again. Bar is closed. We're done here. And a little bit longer than I needed to be, but this is a good start for a topic like this. Until then, I appreciate you hanging out with me one more time. And as always, JJ Sessions is now over. You know what I mean.